Well, towards the evening, the giant went down into the dungeon of Castle Despair to see what the prisoners had decided about the suggestion he had made. When he got there, he found them alive, and very well. But what they wanted was bread and a little water and some healing for the wounds that they'd received because he had beaten them so badly. When he found them alive, he fell into a grievous rage and told them that they had disobeyed his counsel and it would be worse for them if they'd never been born. At this they trembled greatly, and Christian fell into a swoon, but he came back to himself, and they renewed their discussion with the giant about his counsel. "Why haven't you taken my counsel?" Christian thought about these things a little bit later on, and Hope said, "My brother, do you remember how valiant you've been before? Apollyon couldn't crush you, nor could all you heard and saw and felt in the valley of the shadow of death. Consider the hardship, terror and amazement you've already been through. And are you now fearing at nothing? I can see the dungeon we're in, and I'm here with you, and I'm a far weaker natured man than you are, and this giant has wounded me as well and cut off my bread and water, and I mourn for light as well. But a little more patience. Remember how faithful you were at Vanity Fair. You were not afraid of chain or cage or of bloody death. So let us bear up and be patient." Now the night came. The giant and his wife were in bed, and she asked him about the prisoners. Had they taken his counsel and ended their own lives? "No," he said, "they're sturdy rogues. They chose rather to bear all hardship than to make away themselves." Then she said, "Tomorrow, go into the castle yard and show them the bones and skulls of those who've already been dispatched, and make them believe that before the week comes to an end, they also will be torn to pieces like their fellows that they follow." So in the morning, he took them down into the castle yard, as his wife had said, and he showed the pilgrims all the bones and skulls of those who had gone before. Now, in John Bunyan's account of the Pilgrim's Progress, he deals with what we would nowadays call depression. And what's interesting about it is that it befalls the strongest of people. Sometimes we think, well, we're too strong to fall into despondency, to despair of life itself. But here, Pilgrim is reminded by Faithful of all the things that he's already stood up to, all the things he's already faced. And now in the Castle of Despair, in Doubting Castle, with giant despair beating him up regularly, he despairs of life itself and is very tempted by the antidote that the giant and his wife have in mind for him. What's very telling about this is, well, John Bunyan faced it himself, and as you read his books, you see that depression and despair was something that he regularly dealt with because he felt it, but also that the strongest of people can go through it. The strongest of people who've been faithful for many years in their lives can go through periods of despair where they're not sure about if there's any future at all, and they're brought to their very knees. Well, the answer we'll see was actually, I'll let you into the little secret, was actually in Pilgrim's pocket, and it was the promises of God. But if you're going through hard days, and if you're despairing of life itself, you're not alone. There are many others who've gone through it before you and are going through it in a way with you now, especially in the days that we face, with the situations we face. It came upon Christian because he'd gone on the wrong path. He had led his friend astray. It came upon Christian because he was hungry and he was thirsty and he lacked light. John Bunyan is very, very sharp, very capable man, and he understands human nature, but he understands the antidote as well, which is to trust in the promises of God. Well, from me, my little friend, you ready for home? Yeah? Have a good day.